Hello class, so I wanted to go over with you some gesture drawing samples and really show you what gesture drawing is through example. Okay, so just as a review, a gesture drawing is a quick and often spontaneous drawing whose goal is to capture movement, weight, and feeling. Okay, they're often going to have looser marks and they're not going to be focused on detail. Okay, it's more about the overall sense of the scene. So a gesture drawing is really an exercise. However, what a gesture drawing captures and expresses, movement, weight, and feeling, can be incorporated into more developed and refined drawings. Now here's a gesture drawing, and this one features an individual running. Okay, and you can see that sense of movement in these circular marks. Okay, and these kind of flowing marks down here, and these flowing marks around the legs and the arms. But there is a certain grittiness to this and a certain tension that's created by these blotches as well as these smudges. Okay, it creates a sense of, maybe even a sense of violence. It's like this character is running from something that's dangerous. Okay, here's another work. This one's a little more casual, a little more relaxed, but it's a cafe scene by Edvard Munch. And this is a gesture drawing. Okay, now here's a gesture drawing of a woman dancing. And I want you to look at these marks that are made. It's almost as if they're dancing, the rhythm that's created and the movement. There's a very graceful feeling to this. It's a bit different, okay, than the grittiness of this. Okay, and I want you to see how these marks go inside the figure, but also outside of it. Okay, so the marks aren't constrained necessarily by the shape of the figure. Okay, you can go outside of it and within it. Okay, here's another work. And really look at these dancing marks. Create a lot of rhythm. Here's another one, likely a part of the same series, by Sir Sargent Singer. Okay, now let's check this one out. This one's by Stanley Roseman. And this one even has smoother marks, okay, than this one, which appears a little bit more organic and earthy. Okay, here's a gesture drawing of Christ carrying a cross. Okay, there's a lot of movement between these figures, and also a bit of tension. By the quality of the marks and also the direction of them. Okay, some of them even look a little scratchy. And while we're in this lecture, I'm analyzing what we're looking at, and we're finding feelings, and in this lecture I'm analyzing these qualities. Okay, these feelings, sense of movement, etc. But when you draw this, you're really going to be drawing it in an intuitive way. Okay, so these things will happen more naturally. Okay, you don't have to analyze the subject you're looking at. Just go and draw it. Okay, and gesture drawing isn't just about drawing figures. Okay, really you could do a gesture drawing of any subject matter, and this subject matter is a landscape. Okay, you can see some lily pads. It looks like some trees, possibly some movement of water here. And this one's done by Monet, okay, who's known for painting impressionistic landscapes. Here's another one by Monet. And then really, let's look at the movement here of the water. Really beautiful. And it reflects the movement of the mountains. Okay, I mean, the mountains aren't actually moving, but the visual movement that happens within the ridges, okay, is reflected in the actual movement of the water. Okay, here's another gesture drawing of a landscape by Corot. I may be mispronouncing that. Okay, here's a gesture drawing of a bush. This one looks to be done in charcoal. Okay, here's a gesture drawing of a figure, or possibly two figures. And this one has a really interesting variety of line quality. From more textured marks, okay, to smoother ones, to darker marks to lighter ones, and it creates a real ghostly appearance to this figure, or to these figures. Okay, here's a gesture drawing of a rooster. Okay, and let's just look at how the marks can go inside the form, but also outside of it. Okay, here's a gesture drawing of a bird. Okay, and you can really see the movement of, and really feel the movement of the wings, okay, as well as its legs and the overall figure. Okay, here's a gesture drawing of a still life with some flowers. Okay, here's a gesture drawing of some figures in a landscape. I really like how simple this one is. There's not really any extra marks that aren't necessary. It's very to the point. Okay, and like I said, a gesture drawing is an exercise, but what a gesture drawing looks for, movement, filling, and weight, are things that can be captured in more refined drawings. So we're going to be looking at some drawings that emphasize these characteristics. Okay, so here's a work by Jenny Saville. Okay, and I want you to see the gestural marks in the legs. Okay, what do you think this does in the arms as well? Okay, it creates a sense of movement. It looks like the arms are moving. They were like previously in one area, now they're over here. Here's another work by Jenny Saville. And the variety of kind of like ghost legs, okay, these lighter legs that are gestures, really creates a sense of movement, as well as a sense of time. Okay, these are positions that the figure previously took, but now the figure's in a different posture. Here's another work. Some really beautiful movement and rhythm that's created between these lines. Okay, it's really interesting how some of these marks look like they're done a little bit quicker. Okay, the speed, higher speed in making the marks. And some of them look a little bit slower. Okay, so speed's important with gesture drawing. The speed of the mark. It doesn't necessarily have to be fast, but the speed, how fast you make the mark makes a difference. And the feeling that it creates. Okay, here's a drawing by Cy Twombly of Henry Heyman. There's some really beautiful gestural marks inside the figure. Those are a bit more scratchy. They look a little bit more nervous. Okay, and I may not necessarily say anything about the figure itself, but maybe more about the artist. Maybe the artist was feeling a bit more nervous when they made this. Or maybe this is just maybe the way this is the way they like to make marks. Okay, so this is a work by Kara Walker, and I really want you to pay attention to the gesture of the leaves here. Okay, this plant. Okay, and the gracefulness of it, and really how it accentuates the gracefulness of this figure who's standing. Really, a lot of beautiful movement that's created here in this plant. Okay, here's a work by Cicely Brown, and this one's done in ink. Okay, but there's still a lot of movement that's created through all these marks. Okay, and moving in the background, and these marks in the background, like this, really reflect the posture of the figures in the front. Okay, so here's a self-portrait by Pablo Picasso. And there's a nice gesture within the hair, as well as within the cheekbones and the neck here. All right, a lot of youthful spirit and confidence in these marks. Okay, that may reflect, his being at the moment. Okay, this one's a little grittier, but this is a self-portrait by Ernst Ludwig Kirchner, and there really is a kind of a cloudiness and maybe even a nervousness to these marks. okay, which creates a certain mood to it. So this is another work by Van Gogh, and there's a lot of movement in this field, and that's really accentuated by these gestural marks. Okay, the curvedness of them, and really how they interact with each other creates a movement across the whole field, not just within the mark. How one flows into another. It makes this field look like a body of water, an ocean. Okay, here's a really beautiful portrait by John Singer Sargent, which really emphasizes gestural marks. Okay, like look at the energy of these marks here. Okay, and the confidence of them. It creates an energetic feeling to the sitter. Okay, these energetic marks. Many of them look like they were done pretty rapidly and quickly. Okay, and here's another work. And gestural lines can be subtle. They don't necessarily have to be, as bold as these, or even as bold as these. They could be subtle. Okay, they could be subtle, such as these in the background. Okay, they don't have to be forced. Really, it should happen naturally. So this one's a little bit more subtle than the previous one, but you can still see a sense of movement in these marks that are shown here, in the hair, in the cheekbones, and in the shirt. Okay, so the point of me showing you this is to show you how gestural marks, okay, marks that create movement, filling, and emphasize weight, can be incorporated into more refined drawings and more developed drawings. So although we're going to be doing this exercise, we're going to be doing it with the intention to bring your attention to these aspects, these expressive aspects of a drawing.